Today I'm trying something a little bit different and doing a voiceover vlog showing you footage of my trip to beautiful British Columbia and talking about the work that I was doing on my book while I was there. So I've been able to do a whole bunch of sort of conferences and mentorship programs recently. And the interesting thing about all of these is that you have to submit work. And so the middle of my manuscript is a little bit of a work in progress. And I keep having to sort of scramble to get the words that I need to submit done and ready. And this week, since I was traveling, I just didn't have the midpoint ready to go at a point that I wanted to share it. And so I was looking at rewriting my beginning, and goodness sakes, do I end up rewriting my beginning a lot.
Alright, so crisis averted. I'm now at Starbucks, although I think I asked for like half the sugar, but then I realized that I never get sugar in it, so it's actually more sweet than it usually is, my little iced peach green tea. Anyways, I messed up my order, so now I have sweetener. But basically, I am very excited because it's 10:23 now, and at 11:45 I am scheduled for high tea at the Empress Hotel, which is going to be so pretty. It's this gorgeous hotel by Fairmont on the water, and I'm so excited for it. It's going to be gorgeous, and it's just me going. That was the only reservation available, was for one, plus like it's the middle of the day on Friday, so my friends were working, which is super fair. I have a flexible schedule, generally like by afternoon time. Like I usually work like later in the day and then in the mornings, so it worked out really well. Anyways, so I have this little bit of time at Starbucks. It looks like I have some work messages that I have to attend to, and then I am going to, I think, rewrite my opening scene.
So I've talked before about how back in March I applied for RevPit, and it was really great experience just to get my submission materials together. I didn't obviously win that, but I paid for a manuscript critique from one of the editors that I submitted to. And she gave me a lot of good feedback kind of on my first 5 pages. And what she said was the opening feels a little bit disjointed. And after rereading it for myself, I figured she was kind of right. Basically, the first event of the book is my character tells on someone in her orchestra for doing something that's against the rules, and it kind of makes everyone hate her because it's almost like she's stealing that person's spot, even though she didn't really do it for that. It was actually, I was listening to Shonda Rhimes' masterclass, and she was saying, do the worst thing ever for your characters, put them in the worst situations. Or if you can't do that, and you can make the best thing happen to them, but make it happen in the most interesting way. And so I was like, okay, what if she gets this like first chair position or big solo, and she gets to kind of be the star of the orchestra, but she gets it in the worst way possible by telling on someone else. And then, of course, she goes on to break the rules in a big way by, pulling off a massive heist to steal a multi-million-dollar violin. And so it's a nice little setup. So I have started it at numerous different places. I've started it before she goes and tells on the girl when she finds out what she's doing. I've started it when she's about to go tell the professor. I've started it at a university justice committee meeting. That was really bad. I wrote that. I hated my life writing that, and then I had to rewrite it. I started it with the police coming in to arrest the girl. I've started it after. I've started it everywhere. So with the editor, I started it afterwards. So she's already done the whole snitching thing, and we're in the aftermath. And what the editor said was, she's also an agent. She said, I would like to see the actual snitching thing happening, focus on that. I want to see that conflict, establish her goal more, and then go to Maisie, and then go to getting into the heist. And it's such a difficult thing, right? You want to establish the character in the ordinary world, but you're also told, start the story as soon as humanly possible. So, openings are hard. And so this is what was in my mind as I walked into the Empress Hotel in Victoria, British Columbia for tea. And I'm going to pause to just sort of narrate this tea situation because it was so beautiful inside. If you ever go to Victoria, I highly recommend this. I had an amazing time. And like anyone who loves books and is at tea by themselves, I wanted to have the perfect, book to read while I was doing tea, and none of the books really fit. And so I had just finished Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. I was like, damn it, I wish I hadn't finished that because that would be perfect here, like my little glass of champagne. And so I ended up rereading or starting to reread Little Fires Everywhere because I wanted to read about, rich people because I was in a rich person situation. And as I was doing this, I was also making notes in my book, and lots of ideas kind of came to me while I was at this tea. The other thing I've really been binging lately is The Shit No One Tells You About Writing, that podcast. And I've also signed up for a webinar by Cece Lira, who's one of the agents on that podcast, about writing emotion. Because I realized in one of my submissions to a mentor that I'm working with that what was really missing was some emotion. In that webinar, Cece did an example, first 5 pages, highlighting how the emotion changed throughout. And a line really stuck with me. It was her like fake main character had a false belief tied to a goal. And because she has this false belief tied to a concrete goal, she ends up getting surprised. I am now convinced that characters wanting things is basically the magic wand of storytelling, which, everyone else probably knew. But my character didn't really have the most compelling goal in the opening that I showed that agent. She kind of, she was defending herself. She kind of wanted to get away from all the people who were, not being very nice to her. But I decided to give her, a more active one that really spoke to her character. And she wants the concert to be as good as possible. And one of the things that I've realized that much like, like reading while drinking tea, playing the violin is a very like one person activity. You're not going to be rehearsing the violin and like having a conversation, or maybe you are. Actually, she probably could. Huh. So finishing off that tea and champagne also finished off my beautiful Downton Abbey moment. I was there for almost over 2 hours. I was just hanging out so hard. And I did end up having to take a couple things away in a to-go box because they just give you so much food. But anyways, by the end of that tea, I had an idea of what that opening scene was going to be. So I knew that I had to have this goal. I kind of worked out what the goal should be around, making the thing sound good, the orchestra sound good, that could actually be somewhat active. And then I walked around until I found a good place to write. What you're seeing here is Fisherman's Wharf with all of these little floating houses. It was so cute, and I literally sat down. I had a bench for a while, and then I sat down on the dock and I wrote. I was there for a few hours. I wrote about 2,000 words that afternoon of the opening. And of course, I went back and read it and was like, not there yet. And so I originally set it at a rehearsal. I had to change it and set it in a hotel room, and that really fixed it up. As I show clips of the beautiful forest we hiked through on Salt Spring Island the next day, I just want to sort of wrap up what was happening with my opening. So I've been working with a wonderful critique partner who's also writing a heist story. Shout out to Christopher, you're amazing. As I left it when I rewrote it on the plane home, Maisie was introduced on the 11th page, and I was like, this is not going to work. She has to be introduced before page 10 at least. And so he was amazing, took a machete to it, cut out so many bits, and I learned so much from seeing what he thought was unnecessary. I managed to cut out another half page, and I got it to where Maisie comes in at 9 pages. And then I sent the opening to my peer mentorship program called Write Mentor, and I got some really good feedback. One person said, words cannot express how much I'm loving this. This is such a wonderful story, and it's so beautifully and entertainingly written. It feels like the kind of book I'd cancel plans for and binge in a weekend. Since then, on like queries, first pages, I've gotten a lot of this is so fun. This feels really fresh. I'm really excited. And so I think things are slowly coming together. It's starting to become a book that's actually good, and it makes me so happy. So here is my new favorite shirt and also some fun photos from that long weekend. It was completely amazing, and I got a lot of writing done. Let me know how your writing's going. Let me know if you like this style of vlog, and have a great one.